that storm didn't go through, we're sitting around that fire with a pride of lions going through the camp. It's crazy. Tell stories that help evoke change, and that's what I wanted to be a part of. That's why it steered towards, documentary work and sensitive subjects.
Welcome to the Take 148 podcast, produced by 148 Films. Join us as we explore video production, creative storytelling, and the real stories behind the lens.
About to get real good.
Sam, welcome to the podcast, man. So the thing about the Take 148 podcast is we like to do pre-production research on all of the guests we have on the show.
Okay.
So we're going to start out, going to do a little pre-production on Sam himself. So here we go. Last full book you read.
Oh.
Or audiobook, if you're an audio
Green
guy.
Lights, Matthew McConaughey.
Green Lights.
Or I think it's Green Light.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, Green Light. No, it's Green Lights. Yeah.
Matthew McConaughey.
Mm-hmm.
All
Very
right.
good. You'll read it and you'll hear Matthew's voice in your head. But it's really good. It's great.
Very Texas kind of read, or what's the premise?
No, I mean it's a lot of like kind of short stories about like how he looks at life and what he learned from life and like how he moved forward and
Okay.
things that just moments in life that were beneficial and what he took from it.
Okay.
Hard times, this thing, that thing, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, good book.
Okay. All right. Favorite road trip gas station snack.
Buc-ee's. Oh, snack.
That's funny.
Snack.
I paused too long.
yeah.
All right. We've established you're stopping at Buc-ee's. What are you getting drink and snack at Buc-ee's?
Oh, at Buc-ee's, pulled pork sandwich, and their chips are like the shaved potatoes.
Yeah.
But if it's just regular gas station, I'm getting the bold Chex Mix.
Okay.
And then like a Powerade or
There you go.
coffee.
Or coffee.
Yeah.
Powered or
You
coffee.
know me. Yeah.
For sure. Okay. You said, what did you say? The pulled pork sandwich? Is that what you said?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Is that like a 24 hours a day, anytime you're stopping at Buc-ee's?
Like if I've eaten, I'm probably not getting that. But yeah, their sandwiches are great. Really good.
They are pretty solid.
Mhm.
All right. If you could have lunch with anyone, past or present, who would it be? And what might the conversation be?
My grandma passed, like, I think it's been 6 years now.
Mm-hmm.
But I would love to, like, have another conversation with her. I think that would be, she was loved by a lot of people, and she was just, to be at this part of my life with my family, the house, the whatever, and I've gone through my adventures and all this stuff, and to like sit back down with her and like have a conversation of, I feel like I was too young to really, I don't know. I've gone a lot of places. I've kind of just been off, going on these trips and these projects and stuff, and I was like away from her, like the back end of her life, and I would love to, like, it feels like most of my memories are from my childhood with her, and I'd love to talk to her like as an adult now. And it was definitely longer than 6 years ago. I don't know why I said 6 years, but yeah, I think my grandmother, it'd be cool to connect with her again, sit down, have a meal. She knew me as the, I don't know, I was figuring out where I was supposed to go, and I'm still going, and to like land somewhere and, be a father and all these things. It'd be great to just sit down and chat. And
She'd be so proud of you, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's the job of the grandparents, right?
Yeah, she was just, she was a legend. So, yeah, it's my grandmother.
That's a great answer. What is something people might be surprised to know about Sam?
That my life has been at risk multiple times by wild African animals.
Really?
Multiple times, multiple different stories. Yeah.
Is this all part of one trip, or has this been over like repeated trips?
No, this is one trip. I've been to Africa a lot of times, but there was one trip that was part of this big trip. It was 11 countries, 11 months, and we're in Africa, and we traveled to a different country each month, and we went Southeast Asia, Africa, South America. And when we go to these places, we like live with the locals in real places, not we stay over here, then we go over there, and then go back over here. So we're in a tribe. I mean, we're in a little village that was like 5 hours from a grocery store, but it wasn't even a grocery store. It was like yeah. So we were way out there. You have to cross ferry, like all this stuff. But there was a safari that we went on, and it's basically going and staying on this island, and a pack, a, I guess, yeah, a pack of lions went through that night. But we were around the fire, and it was late night. Stars were incredible. We're out. It's called the Okavango Delta, and that's where a lot of like planet Earth and all these nature BBC documentary movies and shows and stuff. They go out and film at the Delta. It's in Botswana, and we were there, and we're there for a night, and then we go to like the actual camp where it's a little more established. But we set up camp, and we're around the fire, have dinner, all this stuff, and the guides had all these precautions and all this stuff, and we were like, okay, this is a little more dangerous than we thought. Um, we were around the fire. It was late at night. Guides went to sleep. Half of our crew went to sleep. There was about four of us, and we fell asleep around the fire. And
Ooh.
we woke up to a storm that came through, and it woke us up, raining sideways, thunder, everything. Stumble into our tent, crash out. We wake up the next morning, and the guides everybody was talking about like these lions that came through the camp, and I got the guides to show me the tracks, and it just rained, so a lot of the old tracks had washed away, and there was track leading in this way, this way, around the fire, like close to our tent. And if that storm didn't go through, we're sitting around that fire with a pride of lions going through the camp. It's crazy.
Are you just an easy target at that point? Is that what
Oh
they tell
yeah.
you? Like
Oh,
you're
you're
gone.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I wanted to sleep in a hammock. Like I was in kind of a wild. So 6 months of that 11 months, I slept in a hammock. I like found ways to just sleep in this hammock.
Wow.
But like back in the village in Botswana where we were staying mostly, I was 20 feet in the air sleeping in a hammock, and there's hippos and stuff that are coming out of the water because during the day it's too harsh on their skin,
Hmm.
but I would hear them down below me at night. But I love sleeping in a hammock. Is just kind of like a wild side of me that was like really intimate with like the
Sure.
surroundings, nature, and all this stuff. So I've gotten to sleep in a hammock in pretty wild places.
Literally
But
wild
I
places.
brought a hammock, and they were like, "No, it's not. It's not if you will die. It's when you die. This is a jaguar print right here, and here's a lion print, and here's this." Uh, so yeah, and there's like black mambas, green mambas, all types of big snakes. So they were like, "No,"
Uh,
but
uh,
it was wild. It was a super eerie feeling to
I
think
bet.
like, "Oh, okay, we didn't take that serious enough." I mean, we knew it was serious, but we didn't mean to fall asleep. It's probably
Sure.
like 3 a.m. We were hearing the lions from a distance, like way off, and that's why we were staying up so late. Is because we were hearing them waking up to go hunt, and yeah. So we thought it was the coolest, unique experience ever, and we didn't want it to end, and we fell asleep.
But a
But that,
tent is a safe place for you?
yes, because they don't technically recognize it as a tent,
Sure.
and they don't know what is inside. They just know that, there's, yeah, this big thing that is, so they don't go like ripping through tents. They're more cautious because they don't like understand or recognize it really.
That's
But yeah,
wild.
Bears, on the other hand, they'll just,
I was gonna
they'll
say,
rip through. But
uh-huh.
yeah, out there, it's a little more unforgiving if you know. But yeah, wild experience. Yeah, that's like one. I got about five that are crazy. That are like, okay. Like in hindsight, I'm like, yeah, you're an idiot.
But it sounds like a hammock is still a favorite way
Hmm.
to sleep
Yeah,
out
yeah.
under the
I mean,
stars.
we were in Nepal and we were in Kathmandu, and I read, that book Into Thin Air
Mm-hmm.
by John Krakauer about Everest, and I read that book on top of like this roof terrace, and I would wake up every morning and I can see the Himalayas
Yeah.
and sun
Wow.
hitting it. So I read that entire book there. So it's like there's just moments that waking up in a hammock is, and I made it comfortable. I got the extra stuff and whatever, and I'd put a sleeping pad in there and stuff. But yeah, yeah, is a cool experience. But yeah, that's
Wow.
my answer. Is I could have died a handful of times to
That's
some
wild.
wildlife.
You and Skip need to compare stories as he told you about
Oh,
the
I
alligators.
can no, but I can sit around a campfire and go for a while.
That's wild.
Hmm.
That's a little subtle plug for the listener that may not have heard episode 1, where we talked to Skip. He kind of shares his whole life story and the vision behind 148
Hmm.
and how all that came to be. And there are wild crocodiles. I think I said alligators. There are wild crocodiles
Oh yeah.
in that story. So anyway, all right. Last question.
Okay.
As we're recording this, we are inside of a week away from July 4th and America's 250 years,
Okay.
celebrating 250. What does that freedom mean to you as an American? Having been so well traveled around the world and been a part of seeing so much that is not what we have here in America.
Hmm.
Like what does our freedom mean to you?
I think it's just, I mean, fortunate to be lucky enough to be born in America and have that freedom and like the opportunities that freedom brings. I have a lot of friends that have served, and like I'm proud, you know. And this place, it's crazy. Like everything's on the news, right? And a lot of that is based off of like, companies that make profit off of clicks and this and that. It's a lot of like bad energy and news and bad things that are going on. But if you just take the news away and you see people, you
Mm-hmm.
know, um, there's so much good here. And it's if we focus on that, of course, like there's heavy stuff and things that need to be addressed, but there are so many good people. I think America is a melting pot of all these different cultures is what America is. It's not this you're born here and you're the American. I think the freedom for us all to be in the same place and to protect it and love each other, no matter who, walks through the door. I think that's what America is. And we forget that sometimes. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Well put. All right, let's go back to the beginning, all the way to the beginning. Who is young Sam? Who was young Sam? Who was young Sam?
So I was born in Abilene, Texas. I was a kid that ran outside and, came back with cuts and got dirty and just, I had a lot of friends and everybody was outside all the time. And we ran around the neighborhoods and like had a blast. And it was all about doing something that, that fulfilled you in that moment. And it wasn't about like kind of sitting down or whatever. I was just a wild kid running around and had a bunch of friends that were wild too. And so I was a handful for sure. And we like to have fun, but it was, I mean, you can paint the Texas picture of, growing up as a kid in West Texas and smaller town. I mean, it was a big small town. Abilene's like 125,000. Um, but still small. Everybody heard about everything. But we had a blast.
All right, so being a Texas guy, you know, I've been to Texas. I'm certainly not a Texan. What does the phrase mean to you? Everything's bigger in Texas.
It's just bold, loud.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we just we just like to, you know, be loud and proud. That's what it is.
Well, I
We
do
like to be
know.
better. We like to compete.
Uh,
That's what it is. I think that's what it boils down to.
sure.
Yeah.
Well, and I do know from talking to you that you're probably in rare air as a high school state champion football player, right?
Hmm.
I mean, that's I don't know what the numbers are on that, but you know, however many tens of thousands of high school football
Hmm.
players are in the state of Texas any given year, and how many of them, end the season with a state championship
Yeah.
ring.
Abilene High, 2009.
There we go.
It's wild. It's wild that kids can be on a stage like that.
Hmm. So was football like the biggest thing for you growing up, or were there other sports? You mentioned outdoors. Obviously, there's so much to do as a kid in Texas, I'm sure. But like,
Yeah.
was football that thing that drew your interest the most?
It was baseball and football. Played basketball in middle school too, so I was kind of like playing around with that idea. I had a back injury that it wasn't till junior year that I actually joined into football on the team. So joined into football, the twisting of the back with it's ironic, but
Hmm.
the twisting of the back for baseball, the doctor didn't clear me,
Really?
but got
But football,
yeah,
all good.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, so football junior year jumped in, just jumped right in, and it was a lot. It was like jumped right into 2 days, and but yeah, it was a crazy journey. We'd have up to 20,000 people at our home games. There was another high school in town. They were 4A, we were 5A, but it was still this rivalry, and there'd be 15 to 20,000 people there. And then during our senior year, everyone knew we're pretty solid. I mean, we're small, but we're strong and fast. It'd be 12 to 16,000 people on regular home game, not playoff, anything like that. And to be on a stage like that is crazy. And our first playoff game was in the Cowboys' new stadium, and we were the second high school team to ever play in there.
Mm.
The first one was earlier that day, and there was 44,000 people at that game. I think another thing, it was the excitement of the game that brought a lot
Sure.
of people, but it was also like leftover from the first game that wanted to watch the second game. But still, like to be on this stage like that, and then we went down the line and we played in the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, and there's I think 53. It's like 53 or 56,000, but wild ride. It's fun.
So
Seems like a dream.
so you're like, pick a Friday night during the season, you already have a massive crowd watching you. When you get to the scale of going to play in Dallas or San Antonio, does that jump in crowd capacity? Does that even register to you when you walk out onto the field and look up? Like, are you any more nervous playing in a venue like that in front of a crowd that size than you are any other Friday night of the season?
I mean,
Is it
it's kind
different?
of it's kind of like when you're at home, that stadium and that feel, and it's normally packed like that. But you go to a new place, and there's always there's always nerves anyway.
Sure.
But there's a little more comfortability at home. But when you go to stadiums like that, we got in so much trouble. We'd be looking up at that huge screen. Coaches were screaming at people on the sideline.
Is that because there was a replay that you're all watching, or just because it was there?
I mean, the screen's up there playing. I mean, it's the live screen
Yeah.
of like what's going on, and coaches would be talking to the players, and people are on the bench just looking up, and they're turning red. But I mean, incredible journey through that. It was amazing, super special, especially hindsight. Like you don't even know what you're a part of until. I mean, we knew it was special, just like the bond and group of guys, and like the ride and being able to win is like wild. But like in hindsight, you know what you had even more.
Oh,
I still
sure.
talk to a lot of those guys every
Well,
day.
you got to be in a wedding recently, right? And was it the groom whose dad was
Yeah,
your head coach?
Coach
So
Warren. Yeah,
kind of got to have a little reunion there again.
yeah. He stood up. We haven't seen him give a speech, since those locker rooms. He grabbed the mic and he goes, "Boys," and we all just like perked up. I have chills on my arms right now, but it's crazy. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
That's special
Mhm.
for sure. All right, so let's get into the creative side of the conversation because obviously
Mhm.
right now we're working in the video production world.
Yeah.
So can you look back on your childhood, on your early years, and kind of pinpoint a moment in time where that creative journey, where you are now, like where that started?
I mean, so it kind of goes back to like my grandmother and my mom, like how they look at nature and appreciate nature. But I would kind of see that, see the beauty in the little things and little details. When I look back on my career, that's definitely, I can see that it's obvious. But first time I like legit picked up a camera was high school. It was an elective class. I was just getting it to, move on. And I was like, hey, I like this and I feel pretty good. Like I've got an eye. So mom got me a camera and it was just a hobby for a long time. And then first job was at a news station buying the camera. I had to be there at 4:30 a.m.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Is this in studio or on location or
It
both?
was in studio.
Okay.
Um, so it was like, it was a lot of fun. I worked with another guy that we ended up starting a company together in Abilene, and I got to like kind of help build that and facilitate that, and it's still going strong today. It's really cool to look back on that. But it kind of like that's how my career has been. Is this piece leads to this piece. But yeah, definitely, I can see the seed started with like how my family members, specifically my grandmother and mom, look at nature, look at scenes, and look at beautiful places, and how they would their intention to take you there to see it. That kind of that's where a lot of that where my eye comes from, I think.
So you're kind of living in that story driven documentary
Mm.
side of the
Yeah,
table.
yeah.
What was the progression like from the news station to starting the business?
He left first. I got promoted to go to the commercial side, so I would shoot commercials with the big old news camera.
Yep.
It was the awful commercials you see even today on local news.
Sure.
Somehow they never get better at like they haven't adopted, any type of cinematography. It's just these huge cameras.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, PTSD, a little PTSD there. But he started it. It was kind of like LLC, like a little side business type deal. It was a small situation, but I was bouncing from working at that company to helping him out with some shoots. And then it came to a point where I was like, okay, I'm gonna hop over and help you full time. And we got handed some cool projects and just kind of like let this thing grow, and the right people got involved, and it was cool to kind of see that go from idea to, a business that's working.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I might be jumping over a lot of things, but how do you get from camera in high school to news station to starting your own business with a buddy to traveling the world
Right.
with a camera?
Right.
I assume it's traveling the world with a
Right.
camera,
Mm-hmm.
but like fill me in on that timeline.
Right. I feel like I've just been searching for like the thing, but like the thing I was doing was the thing that I wanted, and it was moving. But so I was working with him for a while, and I wasn't feeling like, but I wanted to be a firefighter, like as a kid, like all growing up. There's always been that feeling, and I was like, okay, like I'm gonna try this. So I was kind of it became like I stepped away full time with them, but like that relationship was still very strong, and I would do projects outside of school, but went Fire Academy, EMT basic, got my EMT basic and
Okay.
uh figured out, and that's kind of around the time this sounds insane, like saying my life story out loud. After getting my EMT basic, um, I decided to go on this trip called the World Race, which is not anything to do with firefighting at all.
Nope.
I mean, essentially, it has nothing to do with filmmaking either. But there's like a storyteller like role in that, which you can be a part of this part of like, I mean, there's in our group there was like 55 people, but it was split into teams, and we would like travel together. But there's certain roles in certain teams, and then there's roles like as a whole team. And storytelling or storyteller was part of that, and you go out and find, it's basically getting marketing content for the overall agency, but you're telling stories of how impactful this trip is and why it's important. Um, so I decided to go on this 11-month journey out of America, and it was 11 countries, 11 months,
With a
and
camera and a hammock.
with a camera and hammock. I had two backpacks for a year. That was it.
Wow.
Yeah, I had a big old one and then a smaller one. You just walk around with two, sleeping. I mean, it's wild. It's a really cool experience. And I was just searching. I was searching for where I wanted to be and where I wanted to go, and I didn't know that. So I was like I was just throwing myself into experiences, trying to like figure it out because I wasn't there yet. I knew that I liked camera. I know that I liked, you know, being a helper. I think that's what it really came down to with, Fire Academy and EMT Basic is I want to help.
Mm.
I like a camera. So on this trip, it's a faith-based organization, and I mean we're there to help people and be a helping hand, and also just share what we believe and what we love. And on that trip, there's so much intentional time, like with yourself and your teammates. Like we're all going through like a hard time. Like it's tough to go to the slums in Nepal and then go back to like there's so many experiences that are just so heavy.
But these are also people that you've not met before. Right? I mean,
Yeah,
they're
no,
bringing teams together, people
no,
from all over the
yeah,
country
yeah,
that are saying the same thing. I want to be a
hmm,
part of this thing. Let's go.
right, right.
So you're doing life
You
in
like
foreign
go,
countries for a
hmm,
year with people that you've just met when the
hmm,
trip began.
yeah, you go to like a week long training camp and
Mm.
you form teams and who wants to do what, like have team bonding and intentional time and stuff. But yeah, essentially you just met these people. One of them we're going to stay in an Airbnb and um, out in the middle of nowhere here in like 3 weeks. So like these are people that I'm still in contact with and like probably will forever because that's such a crazy life experience that people don't really get to do. That's just another thing and another notch on the belt of a few of the experiences I've been very fortunate to have throughout my life was, you know, it was incredible, but it was eye opening. And I got that intentional time to, pray and meditate on what should I do. And that's when I really got the answer of tell stories that help evoke change. And that's what I wanted to be a part of. That's why it steered towards, documentary work and sensitive subjects and
Mm.
stuff that I don't know makes a difference.
So that 11 months was really a catalyst
Hmm.
for Sam
Hmm.
post
Yeah.
journey.
Hmm.
Man, how much time did you have in the field to just learn the equipment and the craft of storytelling, whether technical or emotional or like, I mean, was it just you were just real time figuring it out?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was just, I, I think God hadn't equipped me with kind of like what can empower a story. like on my own from what I've experienced in my life to like what I've seen with movies or whatever it is, and or the people that I started that business with or interacted with, or yeah, it propelled me down that road to be ready for that, ready to take on learning as well. It's not like, oh, I had it figured out going into it. No, there's a lot of learning and there's trial and error, but also with subjects that sensitive and stories that are that delicate, know you know what to do, and you kind of learn quickly when it comes to that stuff. But
All right. So then what's your mindset? Where are you going after you get back from this trip?
I get back and the company that took us asked me and seven others to go to refugee camp. It was called Rhino Camp. It was in Uganda, and we were there for 2 months. So I was director of photography for. We made a documentary. It was called A School Called Hope, and it was about this school that. So Rhino Camp is taking in South Sudanese refugees. Like we're right over the border from the Congo and South Sudan. South Sudan was in a coup, and it was two different tribes that are just brutal war against each other. Nobody's safe, nobody's protected. It was so there's orphanages and all these people that are just scrambling over the border for safety. And so we go over there and just we got to find a story. And it's not just about that story, but there's something here and we don't know what we're going to capture yet. We just know that we're being called to this area and there's something powerful here that we're being called to tell. And it's not just the exposure, it's not just the how crazy is this? Like there's something much deeper that that we're being called to, and the word resiliency like really came up a lot. So that's kind of what we led in there with. And this school, they don't really have a structure. They ended up making one and getting some supplies because it was a school. But I mean, their story was amazing, and it's just going through just war like that and the stories everybody has, and this school that was called Hope brought so much joy to this place that was just like a little sad and corrupt and you know it's hard in a lot of ways for these people to thrive or survive or business. It was just kind of just being there and not knowing when you're going home, and you don't have like a solid structure. It was like you had some tarps and some cooking utensils and stuff, but to see like the joy, and it was all because these people, these volunteers wanted to bring that, these teachers, these this principal, and everybody who was cooking for the kids, and it was just a cool. It was just something that's bigger than the problem, and it was really cool to tell that story.
So do you find yourself getting to do life kind of in that world that you're living in with the people around you as much as you are kind of on mission with a job to do with the camera?
Oh yeah, we our goal was for 2 weeks. They never see us with a camera, so it was all about
Gain your trust, build a relationship.
yeah. But it was
Sure.
also like we really wanted to meet these people and know, and it wasn't just a strategy so they can trust us. It was like, no, let's go in with intention of loving these people and you know gaining their love back in a intentional way, not like they know why we're here, so they're not surprised when the camera comes out. It's not like we're not telling them that, hey, we are a documentary crew, we want to tell your story, but they have to you know trust us. They've been through a lot, and there's a real thing where white people come in with cameras to refugee camp or anywhere, and it's exploited, and people make money off of it. People back there don't, you know, they didn't get anything for it.
Well, that was going to be my follow-up question. Like, what is the big picture objective, for a lot of these projects that you and the team are capturing? Do you know, like, what the ultimate end goal is for a lot of those projects? And are you doing the capture and the edit on site, or are you the capture team and someone else is down the line, putting those pieces together?
There was three people on the team that, or maybe four, that were filming, and did the edit. That took, I think, 4 months. But they stayed in Atlanta, and I didn't stay in Atlanta to finish that edit. But yeah, they stayed behind and got that done. It was really cool.
So is a lot of that, you mentioned awareness. Obviously, awareness is like kind of the first step in addressing issues in any situation. But like, are there opportunities to, for donors to get involved and fundraising campaigns to exist and relief to continue to come in because of the awareness that you're bringing to something like that?
Yeah, I can't remember if the company like shared where things went and how much, but there was a get involved situation, and then they had teams that went back to that area with other missions other than just telling the story. Like doctors would go out, and all these people would volunteer to go to these places for like to help with, they'd have their profession. They're going to like be involved with this community that they saw online in a video or whatever it was. But yeah, I think there was a donate to the cause button, or like, I don't know the exact, but that's normally how a lot of those things work. Is
Sure.
you get funds towards it, and then you bring people to go be a part of that community and pass something on.
All right, so somewhere between the table we're sitting at right now and that story in Uganda, I believe you had a period back in the States. Was it Montana, Wyoming?
Yeah.
Somewhere out in one of those western states that us Tennesseans, it's somewhere out there on the map.
From that first trip over to Africa, I got connected with another company that builds wells, and in that span, went over there another 6 times over to Uganda. And incredible experience, love it over there. Came back to the States, was in Austin, Texas for a while, and that's where I met my wife. Then we hit the road, and we lived in a camper and worked from the road and traveled a bit. And then I've got family here in Chattanooga. We stopped here for about 6 months, and we decided, like, hey, let's stay here. But the job openings, job opportunities for me in film at that time, it was like not really sustainable for me. Like, I had some gigs that were bringing in money, but it wasn't something we could go and buy a house with and commit to something that's huge. So I looked at the job market outside of just Chattanooga, outside of just Tennessee, and this perfect job lined up in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and that's where.
What couldn't be perfect in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, right? Except for maybe the winters.
Yeah, yeah. So my wife's full remote. She works in tech, so we said, hey, like, maybe it's not right now. Let's go over to. I committed to that job for 2 years. That's what they asked at the start when I got the job. So I was like, hey, let's go over there for 2 years. Let's go experience this beautiful place, and then let's aim to come back, and let's see what happens. Let's see what's in store. So I'll go over there, and it is incredible. We're so excited, and it's just, I mean, it's what you would think it would be. I mean, you are in a whole different world, and
With moose
with
walking down the street.
moose, like wolf. I mean, there's bear, like everything. Like it's such a wild place, and there's something like very like religious about that. I
Mm,
guess you could say. Like you feel closer to God when you're stepping out to a thing that He made,
right.
not this building or this room or you know, even though you down the line, I guess you could say God made this room,
Mm,
but when it's pure and you're out there and it's quiet and it's the wind and it's like you're not hearing horns, you're not hearing like traffic and sirens, and it was a really cool place to live. And you're just down the street from the Tetons, and Yellowstone's an hour and a half away. You can go there for a day trip and come back.
So, what was the dream project that
Mm.
came across your desk while you were out there?
I mean, probably one of the most. I mean, so our main client was Wyoming Office of Tourism, and Teton County, which is where Jackson is, it doesn't need any more tourism. It's got so much. Is Yeah. So they would send us to the rest of Wyoming or like special times of the year in Jackson. One of them was in winter, and we were just outside of Jackson, and we took dog sleds to a hot spring, and we filmed this episode of like the journey through. Uh, it was this couple that is from California, and they're experiencing Wyoming for the first time, and they have like this list of these activities, and we orchestrate it, but
Just reality television.
but we film them experiencing this
Yeah,
because I mean they essentially haven't even been there before, so they are experiencing this at the same time, even though we're like, hey, we're gonna go and do this. It was dumping snow, dumping
mm,
snow, and it was you're dog sledding through the backcountry. You're in Bridger Teton National Forest, and it is back there. And you go to this beautiful hot spring, and there's these big rocks around the hot spring, and they're just like this much snow on top of them. It's river running through. I mean, it was like incredible. And there's a lot of moments with that job where I found myself in the middle of nowhere, Wyoming, or in the backcountry, or at this alpine lake, and like saying, I'm getting paid right now is insane. But it was that place. Like, I miss it a lot. There's a lot of things I don't miss about it.
sure.
You live in a different country, basically, if your family's all out east, and it was like expensive to live out there. But I mean, pure. It was so beautiful. It was a lot of fun.
You mentioned dog sleds.
Hmm.
So, like, are we talking snowmobiles and ATVs? And, like, I mean, you're just living in a totally different
Oh yeah.
modes of
Hmm.
transportation environment in that place.
Yeah.
Like, are the dog sleds kind of the wildest transportation you encountered while you were there on a shoot anyway?
Yeah. Yeah, that was probably the most unique. Obviously, that's like a tourist-driven
Sure.
activity. But yeah, that's the coolest one. The thing about out there is the winters are long, but there is everybody's out. Everybody's
Mm.
out doing stuff. So I mean,
Life goes on.
yeah, in our neighborhood, they would take our normal neighborhood trail and turn it into a cross-country ski like track that they plow. Like they go through and HOA plows it so it's in good condition to go for a walk if you wanted to, or you put some
Hey,
skis on it. And I would put cross country skis from my garage and go all the way to this trail through the streets, everything, because there's that much snow, like
wow.
compacted down.
Yeah.
And then you get on this trail and it was nice and clean. There's snow. People are snowshoeing all over the place. People are walking, with strollers on these
Really?
icy. Yeah, everybody's out. Dogs are having the time of their life. You're cooking dinner, and the kids in the neighborhood are on the corner of your yard. They're building a fort to throw snowballs at the other corner. It
Warmest
was
part of the day is what? Give me a temperature.
oh, like in the
Like,
winter.
yeah, like when people are out and about.
Oh, it can. There's days where it was like 5 degrees and people are out. It's not something that stops people. Like people aren't hunkered down.
You adapt, right?
Yeah, but the other thing is like the sun comes out a lot,
Mm.
and they call it big sky country, and it can be like 32 degrees, and you're walking that trail, and you're like taking stuff off. You're hot. It's warm. You're high up in elevation too.
Sure.
But yeah, it was cool. It was a whole different world. I'm from Texas, and my wife is from Alabama. So that was like a shocking but beautiful change. Like so many people are like, how could you do the winters? That's the biggest thing. It's incredible. It is so cool to be sitting in your kind of log cabin feel home, and it is dumping snow outside, and you're watching football and soup's going in here. You let the dog out, you go out there and it's just snowing, and like the cold, your perspective of cold kind of changes. It kind of knocks it out of you because of how much you appreciate all the things around you. And I get why people live out there and do that and fight for it and like, want to protect it. It's really cool.
Man,
So another experience that was just like not a lot of people get to be a part of, and I
for sure.
somehow conned my way into. I don't know how that worked out, but it was incredible. But on that journey, the first summer is when my wife got pregnant with my son. So she was either pregnant or postpartum most of that time that I was out on dog sleds and snowmobiles, and
Man,
so we had two different experiences, but she loved it in her own way as well.
so that basically brings us full circle back to Chattanooga at this point, right?
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right, so what's the transition to 148? What's the 148 story for you?
I actually reached out to 148 when I decided, like, hey, we need to look at the job market outside of Chattanooga and Tennessee. I actually reached out to Skip, and we were supposed to meet. Things fell through, and like the timing was, tough for kind of both sides, and then full circle was, hey, we don't need to be this far away from our family. Let's come back to Chattanooga. So we wanted to come back and let Riker, grow up around our family and we all be together. And that, like, once you have a kid, that is so much more important than you thought. All this traveling, these experiences, that's fun. But once you have a child, it really, and as you get older, you just want to be with your tribe, So when we came back here, first thing I did was, email Skip and like, hey, let's finally meet, let's finally. So, I came by the studio and we chatted, met all the guys and the crew, and did a couple of projects. And, everything just seemed to fit well.
And here we are.
Here we are.
There's no moose or dog sleds
No.
There's really no place to hang a hammock in here anywhere, although we could
No,
probably rig it.
I can find, there's about 7 spots in here.
So I was actually talking to a buddy of mine who has a production studio or production company in North Dakota.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, probably nowhere close to Wyoming, but it's closer to Wyoming than we are sitting here right now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But his studio has some exposed I-beams, and they've hung some hammocks up in the studio.
Yeah.
So when you said hammocks, I was like, man, there's a world where we can make that work.
Yeah, a little hammock village.
We'll figure that out. Mm-hmm. That's wild. All right, so how many months have you been with us now?
Since like early April, I think, right? Mid-April? I don't even know anymore.
Man, it's a good question. But I do know.
I've got a toddler.
Time means nothing with a little one running around at home, right? Yeah. So if I'm not mistaken, the first time you were on set with us was the Curate Symphony shoot.
Yeah.
As what were the job responsibilities there?
I was like the behind the scenes shooter.
Yeah.
Like wanted to film for 148 how we were accomplishing that production
Mm-hmm.
and capturing that story and how we came up with it, and where it came from, where it rooted from, and why it's important, why it's special, and the route we went, and then also production assistant.
Yeah.
It's just an extra set of hands at
Just
that point too.
it's always good to have an extra set of
Right,
hands
right.
that knows how to operate the equipment.
hmm
So like, what was your mindset going into that day?
I mean, priority was just get the camera in front of the right people to say what. I'd already met the team, and I could recognize really quick there's people that care about what they're doing, and there's an intention in just about everything that's done here. And so like just getting people to talk in front of the camera is like that first step, and then I can get that story out of them, and then
Yeah.
the rest is getting that B-roll and filming things as they develop is a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, it's fun to tell the story behind the scenes. I know there's definitely a market for it. Like people, I think, enjoy consuming that content. For us, it's always been really hard to dedicate the personnel to just do that. So it was
Right.
great to have you do
Right.
that. And as we're recording this, that is yet to be released, but it is ready to go. And so, I mean, I'm excited to
Yeah.
share that with
Yeah.
everybody because the actual product we were producing for the client has been delivered and has, gone public. And so now to be able to show the behind the scenes side of things.
How do you accomplish something?
Yeah. It's a ton of fun.
Yeah. It was a fun project.
So in a dream perfect scenario, where do you feel most at home in the production environment?
It's easy to say behind the camera, like getting creative shots, creative angles. But I think as I get older and I look at my tools, which one is the sharpest? And I think it comes to protecting that story and forming it, shaping it, and nourishing it into something that helps people open their eyes a little bit more. So I would say, I've at that last agency I worked in, I stepped into a lot more of a leadership role. Instead of just filming, it was me making decisions and leading and deciding what we should do with this scene or what we should do today, and leading interviews and, pulling, extracting that story from people. I think it is that role of watching or not watching. I think it is that role of overseeing this thing develop. And I think through all these crazy experiences, it's got me to this point where I can now see it from a different lens instead of just the one that has the camera. It's through my lens and how I've been able to kind of develop this skill, if you will. I mean, God like handed it to me on a platter. I feel very fortunate to be able to see what I've seen through my life and, hear what I've heard and, had the people around me. And I think that has ultimately developed, who I am and how I see stories. So I think that's where I am now, is being able to protect that thing, whether
Sure.
it's film director or project manager, So,
Yeah, you've had time to work on those individual pieces of the bigger puzzle, and now you can kind of see things, through a different lens, from
Yeah.
a different perspective.
It's fun to have a blank canvas and, watch the thing get painted, have an idea or whatever it is,
Oh yeah, and I love working with people that are just so good at what they do.
Just how much fun you can have
Yeah.
with such a serious thing,
Right.
right?
Yep.
It's like there's so many sets where it is, cutthroat. There's no stepping outside the lines. And with this group and this company, it's just everybody's smiling, and it flows.
better be.
Everybody's good at their job, and there's a flow to it, and there's understanding, and like this is important, but us enjoying today and loving what we do is even more important than, but it's cool. It's cool to to see a group that's a priority. It's fun.
Absolutely. All right. So I happen to know that your wife is big into utilizing AI
Mm.
in her workflow.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's basically the core of what she does.
Mm.
I know that's also carried over into like some of your
Mhm.
experimentation with the tool. And while we don't use AI to directly affect the creative, the
Mhm.
final creative,
Right.
we're certainly finding ways for it to help us be more efficient and
Right.
effective,
Right.
at the day to day. So I'm curious to know like how you've seen AI influence the industry for ways that you think very well could be positive and not negative.
I think it started off where it was just kind of something where you can get answers quickly or do this thing a little faster. I think where it's going now is more intentional than it's ever been. There's a lot of things that you can get lost in, or rabbit holes, or distractions, or not having the knowledge of what this thing can actually be used for. And to adapt to something like that, not only just in your day to day life, but your business, to use it as a tool that you can sharpen to make you more efficient, or ways where some of the front end work can be done faster so you have more space for that creative work. I think is the main goal there. Not for it to fill in the answer for you, but how do we put work in to this AI, put guardrails on it. What I want, what you want, what we have creatively already, and fine tune this thing to help us on the front end based off of our guardrails and our control. So it's like putting in that work. It's not just filling in this blank. You've filled in your answers already, and it's how do we get a thing that works well to take off some of these things that take up a lot of time and take away from what God has created us to be.
Mm-hmm.
What we're very skilled at. Um, AI is a scary thing. It's intimidating. There's a lot of stuff being thrown at us. Use this, use this, use this, and I think it all comes down to who you are and like what you believe in and what you believe this tool can be for you to accomplish more. It's not necessarily how fast you can get something done. It's how much intention you can put on it, and if it's if this thing can improve how you do your job or how you accomplish something, that's great. Um, to dig into that and try to figure out how it can help you, I think it's just you adapting to a world that's going really fast. And I think it's adapting in an intentional way, not just letting everything in, but fine tuning how something can be a part of your workflow and strategy. You know, it's not blindly going in and just, you
Sure.
know, let
Well,
it decide things for you. I think
mm-hmm.
it's using that as something you get the final word, and you get the direction. Uh, but I think there's ways to automate some stuff with your own approval.
Sure.
But it's fun. It's fun. It's going fast. It's a fun time to kind of figure out the Wild West a little bit.
Absolutely. Well, and the human element, you mentioned it, like we have the final say, right? I mean,
Yes. Yes.
we're prompting and we're feeling out those tools and the limits. But
Mm,
I love that our focus is built on a foundation of relationship,
mm,
like real relationship with real clients,
mm,
face to face. And without that relationship, I don't think there can be any long term, business to be had.
yeah.
But the tools certainly allow us
Mm,
to be more effective, especially in the pre-production side of things,
mm,
just getting projects in line and all that admin side of the
mm,
business so that we can just be creative, like do what we do well and remain human in those God-given
yeah.
gifts that we
Yeah.
have. And so I think it's It is an interesting time to be alive, and exciting time to be alive. We'll see. We'll see what the update says in a year from now, 5 years from now. We'll have to come back at the table and reassess that
We were
conversation. Yeah. Update.
Like, we messed up.
It's very, very possible. Very possible. Only time will tell.
Yeah.
Well, Sam, I appreciate you taking the time,
Of course.
sitting down with me, and
It's fun.
I learned a lot of things. You know, we've just jumped right in on projects. So, like, you and I have not had a ton of time to talk and get your backstory and hear this and that. So I've learned some great things. If people want to connect with you, where can they find you online?
Instagram is Sam Mann Films. Last name is Mann. So Sam Mann Films.
Well, I appreciate it. And yeah, we might just have to fire up the AI conversation again sooner than later.
We do it every day.